Hello again. So I was just watching a really interesting video that was entitled "Fear is the Mind Killer," and it was it was all about basically how human beings are very susceptible to being pushed into kind of a stress situation. That all the panic buying, all of the programming, all of the whatever, the constant news feed, everything is pushing us into a fear state, into a stress state. And I have actually been aware of something about myself that I've talked a little bit about is my issue with cortisol dysregulation, and that I go into this hyperdrive, hypervigilant state and hyper stress state, and I can't regulate my cortisol levels, and so I kind of go into more, I just don't handle stress well. And so it's something I'm very, very aware of, and I've kind of clued me in about 2 years ago, maybe now, about why I am the way I am. So all this stuff that's going on right now is doing that to us. And the woman who was running this channel, was referring to the Twilight Zone episode, The Monsters of Mulberry Street, kind of as how easily we are able to be programmed into becoming mobbish as human beings, that we can be programmed, it's just that whole mob mentality. And it's very dangerous, and you have to be aware of it. Some of us, people will freak out, panic, and throw a bunch of Pop-Tarts and pop into their grocery cart instead of healthy food, like vegetables or whatever. And it's like, okay, this is a virus. We need to have our immune systems up. What is really bad for our immune systems? Constant stress. We need to actually be eating well, but what do people go to? They go to whatever's there, like, I'm going to eat Pop-Tarts and sugar and junk food. And, it's funny, just kind of as an aside, because I generally have a really good diet. My partner and I have really good diets, and we eat pretty healthy. But he's got a little bit of a sweet tooth, and so I don't generally, but I like ice cream, and I, do stuff, but I had been on keto. And so I did pick up, because he was mentioning, oh, we need something, because we were concerned about bakery items that were being baked at like Myers and in the bakery areas versus the prepackaged stuff, and that, okay, well, if we want to have a treat, which is better. So we were thinking like Little Debbie's, that kind of stuff. And so I actually picked up, because he'd been going, oh, pick me up some more of the tasty cake kind of honey bun kind of stuff, and I'm like, all right, whatever. So I actually did pick up some packages of honey buns, and I picked up a package of Twinkies for him, because we were kind of laughing about the fact that in the movie Zombieland, that they're looking for the elusive box of Twinkies in this movie Zombieland. So I actually did pick up a box of stuff, because we're like, okay, well, they're shelf stable, and if we want a treat, we'll have them, but we're not like hoarding them, obviously. And obviously we're trying to, like, okay, we need healthy food, we need like good vitamins, we need to like make sure that our immune systems are, and a lot of people don't do that. They're not drinking, doing stuff and eating properly. And I go into the store, and there's all the ramen noodles are gone, all the bread's gone, all the rice is gone, but what's on the shelves? And all the potatoes are gone. Granted, there were some shortages of things, but I went into one Kroger's, and there was plenty, apart from the potatoes, because I guess it's a shelf stable vegetable. All the other vegetables, like collard greens, the celery, all of that kind of produce was fine. Tomatoes, everything. For the most part, those were still there. Some stores may have had shortages and stuff, but so having that balance, because there's some stuff that is happening with this COVID-19 thing that a lot of people I don't think, like, this whole situation is so convenient because there are people who are like, oh, that would never happen. But they're the kind of people, like, say, for instance, 9/11. They're the people who are like, oh, no, the terrorists, with box cutters brought down those buildings. And they're the kind of people who believe in the official narratives. This is what's going on. There's no boogeymen out there. Conspiracy theories are bad. There are no conspiracies, that kind of stuff. Like, oh my God. And they tend to be very naive, to be very blunt about it. I'm sorry, they're naive. Yes, there are some conspiracies that are ridiculous, but there are some very real conspiracies. There are some very real things that are happening that people just don't want to accept, and they have this cognitive dissonance. One of them being, for years, I've heard, and I use debit cards. My partner doesn't. He uses cash, and like physical currency, like dollar bills and stuff. And for years, I've heard about how there's this increased push for us to be a cashless society. And, people don't, oh yeah, whatever. But I mean, it has happened. It happened in India. It's happened in Greece, I believe, where they've actually like swapped out, like I think in India, they might have like removed, like certain higher ends of currency. I mean, they were just doing stuff to basically, because they claimed it was trying to get the criminals out, because you can't track criminal activity with cash. If people have this means of, buying drugs or stolen goods or whatever with cash, they can't track that. And so if they remove the ability to be able to trade or buy goods and services using currency, physical dollar bills, etc., they want to get rid of that. The state wants to get rid of that, okay? And most of us would be like, well, that's fine, because we're not criminals, and, we don't want to buy drugs. I'm like, but hello? I mean, it's just like, you think of like the big bad criminal that's doing this, but then you think about, well, why? There's maybe some stuff I really don't want. Like, there's stuff, I don't care if Kroger's is tracking, how much blue cheese dressing I buy. Whatever. I know that people got really freaked out about like the Kroger Plus cards, because they're like, oh my God, they're going to be tracking all my purchases. And I'm like, okay, I don't personally really care about that. Admittedly, I'm not that paranoid about that. I'm like, okay, if you want to send me some coupons for some free jars of blue cheese dressing, like, whatever. That's like, I can parse that and go, that's over there. I don't really care if Kroger's wants to track that and give me coupons or whatever. I don't care, But admittedly, it does become an issue if certain people are doing it without your consent, or are forcing you into adopting a means of behavior or actions. And the whole computer thing, our cell phones that I'm using right now to record, they're tracking devices. Flat out. We accept them, we use them, we carry them on our person, and very rarely do we ever question that. And some people are like, no, I'm never having that thing in my, But, here we are. We have computers, we have cell phones. So what is the next level of control? It's like, well, if they really, really want to know your actions, what's the best way to do that? By forcing everybody to use cards so they can track all your purchases. And, again, you've got the buy-in saying, well, it's reasonable. Like, I don't care if they're tracking whether, how much blue cheese dressing I'm buying. And it is very convenient because we have this buy-in to it. So they gradually sneak this stuff in as a convenience. And we all go, well, that's fine. I don't care. But I do notice, and the fact is that you have to have, again, the cash. I had another little message on the thing. It kind of distracted me. You have to have, they're going to be moving. So the COVID-19 thing, I've already seen articles, CNN, some other news sources are saying don't use cash. Don't take your money out of the ATM machines, because this illusion that the COVID-19 virus is going to be on our currency. Well, you can spray it with alcohol, but stores like in China and everything else suddenly are like, no, we don't take cash. We're not going to take your cash because it's dirty. It's dirty cash, you know? And it's going to happen here. People are not going to take cash for anything. So if you have cash, there's going to be now the stigma of not accepting it, not using it, anything, and forcing people to funnel them into a certain type of behavior and a pattern of behavior. So that's, that's a role. Something just to be aware of, not to fearmonger, but that's what's coming, folks. And people don't like that, but that's what's coming. And so there's other stuff too that I believe is going to happen via the COVID-19 issue that is going to get a lot of buy-in from people because they're afraid, they're anxious, and they're not very awake, quite frankly. They're like, that's not going to happen. I don't know really what else to tell you, folks, because, it's going to slowly amp up. It's going to slowly roll out, and we're going to go, it's not happening, watch. But then, and granted, hopefully, maybe in 3 months, whole thing will die down, and we'll go back to our normal way of being. I'm just saying, if that does not happen, just be aware that this is, because I have a feeling, unfortunately, that this is not going to be normal business as usual anymore. And unfortunately, I feel that there's a lot of people out there, and this is a global thing. And, I hate to sound like I'm a weirdo, but, they have been talking about, a one world government, and I know that my liberal peers are going to sit there and go, oh, God, I'm like, I don't know how to tell you this stuff. I just know that the world, more than likely, in a year is not going to look like it has been, ever. It's not. And I'm just warning people, just giving people kind of a heads up, because there are things that we can do to mitigate that. One of the biggest ones is do your homework. Be aware, be awake, do your homework, and consider these situations. That's very important. The second really, really important thing is to know that there are alternatives, and there are solutions, and there are other ways of existing in the world that don't require us to adopt their solutions. So I'm not even going to mention the name, because I know that it's like people go, oh my God, and they roll their eyes and they go, oh, I'm just dismissing you. But there is a concept that makes a lot of sense called problem, reaction, solution. Okay. And the powers that be, this is how they generally get buy-in. So they basically create a problem. So you have a crisis, stress situation, 9/11, COVID-19. Oh my God. People are freaked out. People are in a state of alertness and a state of stress and a state of fear, which opens up our bodies and our minds and our souls or whatever to adopting certain things, because we want to get back into the equilibrium of, please take care of us. We need to be taken care of. We need certainty. We need this, right? So when usually there's a crisis, people go, oh, we don't like this. Oh, this feels really uncomfortable. And they demand and they expect and they request and they ask and they beg and they plead, please give us a solution to this. Please help us fix this, fix this. You know, that's the reaction. We, crisis, we react, we're afraid, please do something for us. Oh, we got to fix this problem. And then out in the wings, there is the solution. You know, oh, we need to be safer. So here, well, we're going to get rid of cash because cash is dirty, it's disgusting. So we'll just use this. And then, you know, biometric scanning, other things to go, oh, okay, well, we need to make sure that there's not dangerous sick people all around us. So, or they would go, well, this makes more sense. Like, there's all these sick people, and how do we make sure that we're protecting ourselves? Not that they won't even really maybe roll that out as like, you must be afraid of the other. That just is a side effect of it. They might go, well, this is so much more easier. Instead of having everybody, say, for instance, taking their own temperature at work or at home or whatever, we'll just like put out these sensors and you have to walk through them, which makes it so much easier. You know, it's kind of like the password thing. So passwords are a real pain for everybody. We always have to change them. We forget about them. We're trying to juggle 900 million different passwords. We're told don't ever use the same passwords. We've got hackers that get in. We have to change our passwords. So that's a constant problem, right? So we're going, oh, please just give us a solution to this, right? Because we're just so, and here they come like, oh, here. Well, we'll just do thumbprint recognition. We'll do retinal scans. We'll do DNA thing. We'll do chipping. That's the thing. We'll do a chip. Just put a chip in and you can program it and you can do all your grocery shopping that way. You can just turn things on. You can get yourself into doors, that kind of stuff, right? People are already doing that and have been doing that. People are like, oh, that's not going to happen. People are already buying in on it. Like there's companies that actually are encouraging their employees to get a little chip, and they've actually had news stories on this, have a little chip, and so they can just wave their hand, literally, open doors, turn on their computer, that kind of stuff. And people are like, oh yeah, this is so much easier, because it is. And it's not even so much a fear-based thing. It's more of I'm so tired of this. Like, this is just so hard. So, you know, let's do it this way. It's so much easier. I can just wave my hand because I got this chip in me. I mean, people, 20 years ago, be, oh, you're just a conspiracy theorist. You're just, one of those crazy people. And I'm like, I'm just kind of like, okay, like, go look back in history. I mean, this is why you need to document this stuff, because there's going to be a record of it. And you're going to go, see, 30 years ago, they said this was going to happen. And look where we are today. How did we get here? Back then you said, oh no, that's all fear-mongery. But then here we are. Anyway, it's just, just be aware of it. I know a lot of people say that I'm negative and that I'm just promoting fear-mongery negative stuff. I know that a lot of it is scary. It is. And it's just something you got to deal with. But realize we do have choices. We do have the ability to take in information that may be uncomfortable and process it and know that we have choices. We just have to have